Have you ever felt like you had to fix every problem in your life before you could enjoy it? I used to believe this too, back when I was stuck in a job that I hated, going through a complicated immigration process, and facing a life changing diagnosis. Joy felt out of reach. But here's what I learned: you don't have to wait until your life is perfect before you can enjoy it. Sometimes joy is the very thing that you need to get through these hard times. Today, I'm sharing how art became my anchor during one of the most stressful and challenging seasons of my life. Hi, I'm Renata McElveny, a creativity coach for neurodivergent and multi passionate women of color. And in this show, we talk about creativity not just as a hobby, but as a tool for self discovery, healing, joy, and everything in between. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. So let me paint the picture. It's 2018. I'm working a job that I hate. It's soul sucking. I feel like I'm living a double life because I'm doing administrative work by day and I'm creating art by night. And it feels like I can't really relate to the people that I'm working with. And I don't feel comfortable talking about my life as an artist. At this time, I'm also going through a complicated immigration adjustment status process that requires a bunch of paperwork that I do not care for and I have to do almost every other day. And it just feels endless. At this time, I'm also obsessively focusing on career success and I want to rush through the good parts of my life, the parts that everyone was highlighting on social media. Things like being able to quit my job, working as a full time creative, and being location free so that I could work anywhere from anywhere around the world. And this was a really common thing at that time. I also believe that working harder was going to get me to this goal faster, which is why I was like, if I just work hard, I'm going to get there and I'm going to be able to have the life of my dreams. And at this time, hustle culture was really big. And I remember that there was a bunch of people talking about how you have to be willing to do the work that other people aren't willing to do so that you can have the life that you dream of. And I really bought into this mindset and I was like, yeah, I have to work hard. And I was used to this. This is what I've always done. So this wasn't something new. And I thought this is something that I know I could do. And it's given me really great results up until this point. So why wouldn't I just keep going in this direction? Right. But here's what I realized: that doing this was making life feel really dull. I was feeling like I just had a list of never ending tasks that I didn't enjoy and I had to complete, and there was no end in sight. I also had no idea how long my immigration case was going to take to solve. And I also didn't know when I was going to be able to quit my job because honestly, I needed it to put food on the table. But art making was always in the background, even when I didn't know that it was helping me to heal. And I was just doing it because it was something that I enjoyed. Here's where things changed because I had to have a heart to heart with myself and get real and honest with myself. And I realized that the problems that I was starting to face in my life as a young adult were not going to go away very easily. They were big problems and they were things that were going to take time. I had to learn to accept my reality, even though it was uncomfortable and it was annoying, or I was going to have to go in the direction that I was already going in and end up getting burnt out anyway. This wasn't easy for somebody that was ambitious, impatient, perfectionistic, and overachieving. This is when I decided that I was no longer going to wait until my life was perfect before I could have fun. I realized that I needed to find something that I could look forward to that wasn't work, that allowed me to find more meaning in my life. So I started to make art, especially in the in between times, those times before you get into work, during my lunch hour, in the evenings, on the weekends. I also started to split my time between some of the boring tasks in art making. I remember telling myself, do an hour of paperwork and then put it away, and then we'll get into art making. And I would do collages and hand lettering, and it made my night so much better, my day so much better. And I remember it helped me to feel less annoyed. And this is how I ended up saying yes and attending a creative workshop here in LA that was hosted by one of my favorite artists, Ana Victoria Calderon, who is a watercolor artist. And during the workshop, there was other women like me who were artists and creatives, and we were talking about our businesses and how we wanted to grow. And I was encouraged to create a personal project. And since I'm a huge fan of punk and I love the music and everything, I decided to do a hand lettering series with some of my favorite phrases and lyrics from my favorite songs and bands. And I started to share this on Instagram. And what I learned with this project was that by sharing not only my love for music, but what it meant to me and kind of opening up myself to talk about my inspirations and more of me as a person, I got to connect with like minded people and I felt seen for the first time. This is the moment when I realized that art could truly be a tool for self discovery, for self exploration, and for finding community with people who felt the same, who had gone through similar experiences. I also gave myself permission to explore the things that brought me joy, like music and art making, with less guilt and more excitement. I realized that making art about things that I cared about that mattered to me brought me a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, a lot of fulfillment, and that I was allowed to feel this way, even if my life was chaotic. I started to see the growth in myself, both as an artist and a human being. And some surprising results that came out of me prioritizing my joy, my fun, my fulfillment was that I realized that my immigration case, for example, wasn't taking up as much space in my mind, and I wasn't feeling as overwhelmed as I had been. I stopped feeling like I was a victim of my circumstances, and I started to feel more okay with my reality. And I even got curious about it. And most importantly, I stopped disassociating. And instead of ignoring or bypassing my feelings, I started to pay attention. I actually listened to myself, to my feelings, to my emotions. And I realized that by doing this, I felt more supported, more compassionate towards my own struggles. And this was a form of self love. Fast forward to today, art making has become a regular practice where not only do I get to express myself, I can process difficult emotions, but also have fun. I also started to create with more intention. And what I mean is that before I start to create anything, I check in with myself and I ask, what do you need? What would feel good to do today? This way, I can meet my needs where I am today. And this has allowed me to practice self compassion and self love. And one of the biggest gifts that has come out of this whole experience has been finding community, finding people who share similar life experiences, who share similar values, and who accept me for who I am, where I don't have to pretend or perform and try to be something that I'm not. People know what I stand for, people know what I'm about. And I love that. That is one of the biggest gifts ever. Here is the main takeaway. Understand that you're always going to have problems, but you have to find a way to enjoy your life while you're solving them. And art making can be the exact tool that you can use to get through these hard times. And you can start easy, you can start simple, get a sketchbook and start doodling during your lunch hour. You can also start a journal where you write out everything that you're going through, where you can process privately, or maybe start to do something that you have been meaning to do that you haven't given yourself the opportunity to do because maybe it feels a little bit selfish. Maybe it's learning how to dance or doing scrapbooking or pottery. Whatever it is, let yourself enjoy it and balance out the scales between work and fun. These are the moments where we need to be the most loving and compassionate with ourselves. So this is where I am today. I decided to leave my soul-sucking job and I realized that I didn't need to quit entirely. I just needed to find a better fit. And I'm happy to say that now I'm in a job where I have much more flexibility, where I still get to work on my creative business. I also started to create daily. I have talked about this in other episodes, but I'm always creating something. I'm either doing this podcast, designing at work, drawing or painting or journaling. So there's always something creative going on in my life. And most importantly, I learned that joy isn't something that you have to save until you have the chance to go on an expensive retreat or you have the perfect art studio. It's something that you build into your daily life in small ways. Art can be fun or for processing or both. And no matter what's happening, art, creativity can anchor you. That's it for today's episode. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Also, if you're craving more creative nourishment, reflections, prompts, Sign up for my newsletter. This is where I share more personal stories and my latest offerings. You can also follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes content. You can find all the links in the show's description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you on the next one. Until then, stay creative. Bye.